years. And so the Wham Bam social media, I'm excited to hear about this part of it. So she is the owner of Wham Bam Social Media, Flash Mob Vegas, and is an independent consultant with Tastefully Simple. So Denise's passions are dance, art, food, dogs, and the outdoors, or the outdoors and social media. And she resides with her pit bull, Gypsy. All right, so let's welcome Miss Denise. So if you're on screen, just do this.
Hi, everybody.
Kind of the applause, right? It creates a lot of excitement and energy. All right, Miss Denise.
Hi, everybody. Well, thank you so much for joining us. And I actually did the first Zoom-a-thon, and I had such a great day that I think the minute it was done, I sent an email to Dr. Victoria that I want to be considered for the next one. So thanks for having me back. And thank you, Stan. And today's going to be the first time I'm doing a PowerPoint on, let me move this. I realize that looked kind of messy. Anyway, I'm going to be, today's going to be the first day I'm going to be doing a PowerPoint on Zoom. And I sent a text to Stan yesterday and I said, Stan, how do I do this? And he actually arranged for a rehearsal with me. So we did a mini Zoom call and I got to practice because I was a little nervous about practicing it on this live event. So I am, in addition to what Stan said, I'm also the author of the upcoming book, Wham Bam Facebook Events. And the reason I'm focusing on Facebook events is it's kind of evolved for me. I started, when I started my company, Flash Mob Las Vegas, I started using Facebook events to announce our events. And my whole aim was to let people know about our events so that we can get participants in our flash mobs. And I do have certain types of flash mobs where the participants are volunteers. So I started promoting our events so we could get a lot of people out dancing on the street or singing. So that was my original experience with Facebook events. And then later on, I became involved with a direct sales company that's no longer a direct sales company called Celadon Road. And they were a company that had organic skincare and house cleaning, and they're still in business, but they're not doing direct sales. So I started dabbling with doing Facebook events, but they weren't very successful. But then when I joined Tastefully Simple, I started doing them more often. And my first events were not, they were okay. I mean, I made the minimum I want to make when I have a party, but they weren't outrageously successful. So I took a couple of courses and I started learning more about doing Facebook events for selling products. And I found out what my problem was is I was doing an infomercial and I was just posting company graphics from Tastefully Simple. So it just seemed really impersonal. You know, it was kind of a turnoff to people just having one sales message after another. So although they were doing okay, they weren't doing great. So I started to change how I was doing things, and I'm going to get a little more into that in my slides. So I'm going to do share screen now. So can everybody see my slides? You can just nod your head.
Yes.
Great. Okay, good. So as I kind of touched on, there are a variety of reasons to do Facebook events. So one big reason to do them is to promote other events. So you can promote events basically to have attendees at your event. So for example, when Dr. Victoria started this event, she also had a Facebook event. Another reason to do a Facebook event is to sell. So you can actually sell things on the Facebook event itself. And there are two ways to do that. It can either be an ongoing sales event, or it can actually lead up to a party that you actually do on the Facebook event. Then another wonderful reason to do a Facebook event is to fundraise. So one example is I'm really involved with a lot of the pet rescues in town. And one of the rescues I deal with had an online auction or a virtual auction as a Facebook event. So they would post an item. They actually had paintings that were made by dog paws, and they would post a painting and had a minimum bid and then have people bid in comments. So it was really brilliant. So I'm going to touch a bit on Facebook events to promote other events. So you can promote either virtual or in-person events. So for example, again, Dr. Victoria used a Facebook event to promote her virtual event, but it can also be to promote in-person events like I did with flash mobs, or, you know, you could be having a seminar or a conference or anything where hopefully in the future we'll be able to meet in person. It can also, Facebook events can be used to promote educational events, whether they're online or in person, conferences and trade shows, retail events, like let's say you're having a store opening or a ribbon cutting or a special promotion in your store. They can also be used to announce product parties, and, you know, people like me who are in direct sales, we do a lot of in-home parties. So you'll set up an event to announce that, or open houses, or even private events. So let's say I have a friend that every year she has a Christmas dinner and she uses a Facebook event to let her friends know about that. So I'm going to get a little more into this later, but Facebook events to sell, you know, you can actually do a Facebook party. You know, especially people that are in direct sales can relate to that. You can have an ongoing sales event, or you can have a multi-host sales event. So for example, I'm with Tastefully Simple, and let's say I want to do an event with some compatible companies like Tupperware. It could even be Louise's tea that goes really good with my food, Pampered Chef, and we as hosts take turns posting and letting people know about our products and how to buy from us. So I'm going to talk a little bit about fundraisers. So the great thing about doing fundraisers on Facebook is you can use the Facebook event to promote your organization. So a Facebook event is also a great platform for drawings, raffles, and online auctions. You can also use a Facebook event to promote your other events for your organization. And you can also include in the Facebook event a link if you're selling any type of tickets. So I'm going to talk a little bit more about selling on Facebook. So you can pretty much sell anything on Facebook events. You can sell services, products, and courses, for example. So I want to talk about some tips for selling. Oh, I forgot to time this. So if Victoria, I can see you. If you put up like something so I know I have a couple of minutes, that would be great. Okay. So some tips for selling on Facebook. One of the most important things is getting to know your guests and audience. And you want to try to get to know that if you can in advance, because you then would tailor the script of your event to your audience. But one of the ways to do that during the actual event is to ask questions, do surveys or this and that posts, so you could get to know what their concerns and likes are. And it's important to try to reach out to them and get to know them personally. So if somebody joins your event, send them a messenger message or a text, a phone call, or an email to get to know why they're there and what their concerns are. And also just be sure, this is kind of a little more about etiquette, but reply to all the comments and just keep engaged in the conversation until it ends. I find that a lot of people on Facebook or social media, they just sort of ditch the conversation suddenly without a conclusion. So talk to people like you would in person. So some more tips about selling on Facebook events is you don't do an infomercial. So you do want to sell, but you want to intersperse your posts with value posts So you want to do value posts. You want to use a lot of humor. You can just put in memes. I did a event that was kind of at the beginning of the quarantine where getting toilet paper was a big topic of conversation. So I did this meme about BYOTP, which is bring your own toilet paper. And also use personal and not just corporate photos and videos. So for example, I'm in the food business, so I take pictures of what I'm eating, what I'm making. I do videos of me preparing the food. I don't just take corporate graphics from Taste. I mean, you can do some of that, but don't have your whole event be corporate graphics from whatever company you represent. So I want to mention some tools for creating events. And I have a Facebook page, Wham Bam Social Media, where I share a lot of tips about marketing your business through Facebook and online. I also, as I mentioned, I'm the author of the book, upcoming book called Wham Bam Facebook Events. And also I have a blog. It's a Wham Bam Social Media blog called Grow Your Business Online. And I share a lot of resources, not just about Facebook, but it could be anywhere from Etsy and Pinterest to LinkedIn. So I share a lot of videos and articles about growing your business online. So it's a great resource. And regarding the physical part of doing an event, I use Canva a lot and Photoshop for graphics. And you can use apps like SynShare and Hootsuite for scheduling your posts. And also YouTube. I suggest anyone that has a business have a YouTube channel, do videos about your business and save it on a channel so you can reuse it. Thanks, Victoria. So I want to mention a couple of announcements I have. I am having a special on my pre-book launch. It's $25. It's normally $35, but if you order pre-launch, it'll be $25 for a signed copy. And I have the URL right here, which is booklaunch.io/DeniseL/DeniseL. I probably should have put something else there, but it's easy to remember. Also, I have an upcoming event. It'll go over a week from April 3rd through 9th. It'll be a private Facebook group, and it's going to be a virtual Facebook events boot camp. So you can either private message me or email me at deniseconnects@gmail.com to sign up. And I am having an introductory special of $50 for the event. It'll normally be $100. So I want to thank you so much for being a part of this awesome day. It's exciting to share the educational event with other awesome presenters. And thank you to Dr. Victoria Boyd, Stan, the Philanthropreneur Foundation, and other hosts for making this happen. So again, here's my contact information. My Facebook page is Wham Bam Social Media, and my blog is whambamsocialmedia.blogspot.com to learn everything you want to know about marketing your business online. So on this note, I am going to stop the sharing and see if anybody, I think I have a few minutes for questions.
Denise, I
Yes.
don't think you meant April 3rd, did you?
A what?
April 3rd is the date that you showed for your
I'm
launch.
sorry,
I think you meant August, right?
Yes, August. I'm sorry. It began with an A. Thank you.
I just wanted to make sure.
Oh,
I
great.
went, that
Did I
doesn't
write
make sense.
April or did I say whatever? But it's
you
August
wrote,
3rd.
Yeah, you wrote April. So I just wanted to make sure.
Oops, I did that really quick this morning. So, okay, yes, it's August the 3rd. Starting on August the 3rd, it's a week, and you know, you can do it at your own pace. You can start when you want because it's in a group, so you can always go back and see something if you weren't there at the beginning. Any other questions?
That I was just going to comment on that same April to August. I wrote it down, but it's a lot of information, especially like that they can go to your actual Facebook pages to see what you're talking about, because you really have been using Facebook to promote a lot of things. Any other questions out there from, okay, David?
Denise, when is your book already out, or when is it going to be published?
Probably within the next 2 months, I'd say.
Okay.
I'm just finishing writing it, so I just have to go through the whole editing. I already have the book cover done, so you know, it's just I'm down to the last chapter now.
Okay. And just so you know, shameless plug again, I help people edit and get them up on Amazon. Just, oh,
Right.
So, would you put the blog address up again, please? And maybe even
in the chat
maybe we
box.
should ask all of the speakers to do this. Is the chat feature open to everyone, or is it not?
It is. Yes.
Okay, so maybe put your info in the chat feature,
Right.
which would be great for people to actually capture it later and to make sure they can actually find
Yeah,
the
the
info.
chat.
I tried to go to the blog spot, but I obviously typed something in incorrectly. So if it's in the chat, it'll make it easier for people to find it.
Okay, great.
And just
I
so
will
you
do
know, when this whole Zoomathon ends, I will have the individual recordings